Sing song of sixpence, apocryphal of rhyme. For James Joyce, perhaps the greatest Anglophone writer of the 20th century, all art is stolen or apocryphal. Nothing is unborrowed. Creativity is at best a social loan, a temporary lease on material the credits of which and whose license is not your own. Art lives on loans and consists of traced words, having acquired accretions of tertiaceous matter whilst loitering in the past. The artist is at best understood, therefore, as a mixer and word painter, covetous of his neighbor's word and subsisting on borrowed brogues for his material. However, each repetition, gesture, articulation, or moment is originary insofar as it is always repetition with a difference, a namesake with an initial difference, whose every has a hair different from the similes with her sight. Each moment has a unique difference originary to itself, for there's always something new, which gives it its unique quality as an event, playing on the least change of his Manchester's voice. Therefore, Joyce is presenting us with the problem of creativity and sense. Creativity is at best an assertive event which punctuates itself. And I want to hone in on this idea of punctuating. This means two things for us. First, it means that creativity in art is autopoetic, using its unique, productive, internal dynamics, the night of all clothes, as he puts it in Finnegans Wake, to churn out poetic expression without, beyond, and in the stead of the author who would seem to authorize and take ownership of the art with his or her authentic voice. Art, for Joyce, is always an evensong evocation of the doomed but always ventriloquent agitator. That is, the agitator, the author who incites and organizes meaning, is eloquent but also is brought alive or ventriloquized by his material which acts. Language's autopoetic capacities threaten, while also fundamentally making possible and constituting as a coherent subject the author of the work of art. His thing might have undone him, and his mad thing has done him man. Because of this deeply intertwined relationship between art and artist, the artist as authorizing subject of meaning is at best the outstanding man, always being actively elaborated upon and negotiated in and by his or her work. Secondly, art punctuates itself insofar as it brings attention to its facts of feminine clothiering, that is, clothing which errs. The context or enveloping facts that allows the event to be punctuated or articulated at all, or the enveloping facts circumstantiating it, as Joyce puts it. This latter aspect gets to the heart of what sense even is, asking about and bringing attention to the structural conditions by which we can make sense of anything at all. Or, as Joyce phrases it as a question in Finnegans Wake, why am I now so speakable? Therefore, for Joyce, all art is derivative or second-hand, jerking to and fro, flinging phrases here, there, or returns inhibited with some half-halted suggestion. All art is a suggestive hand-me-down with a unique history, partially attested to in the facts of the material, partially lost to the past, partially fabulated in the act of telling the tale of its own history. No man is an island, and so too, no art is without precedent, relations, history, and simply the other to which all art is indebted. To quote a brief encounter from Finnegans Wake that speaks to this hearkening to the other. I differ with ye. Are you sure of yourself now? You're a liar. Excuse me? I will not, and you're another. And lully holding their breach of the peace for them, pull lully, to give and to take, and to forego the past, and all will be forgotten. Ah ho. This becomes a source of anxiety throughout Finnegans Wake, where the inescapability of the past and the uncomfortably history-laden nature of things turns paranoid, causing everything to get under HCE's and our skin, seemingly by a will of its own. Everything becomes uncanny and unsettling, undermining our sense of autonomy and thereby exposing us, in all senses of the words. As far as wind dries, and rain eats, and sun turns, and water bounds, he is exalted and depressed, assembled and asundered. Go away, we are deluded. Come back, we are discoasted. That is, haunted by the ghosts which we cannot ignore, which constantly erupt in the wake of our language. Therefore, the public indecent exposure which seems to plague HCE's anxieties in the book is duplicated in, and may be solely constituted by, this exposure of the contingency and derivativeness of language itself. That all is, to a greater or lesser degree, stolen from another, one cannot be sure won't come back to demand the payment of the outstanding debt, and with an insensitive vengeance, as Joyce's language so often assails us.